An Arctic blast blowing below freezing air into the Triad. Temperatures are only expected to drop more. The storm is wreaking havoc elsewhere. Blizzard conditions and low visibility in parts of the Northeast and Midwest. The weather impacting travelers trying to get to their holiday destinations in time for Christmas. Traffic here in the Triad flowing for those heading on road trips this weekend. And the temperatures we're experiencing are definitely Arctic for us here in North Carolina. Lows forecasted to be in the single digits today. Let's start with meteorologist Eric Chilton with what folks can expect heading into Christmas weekend.
Yeah, Lauren, we're looking at current readings in the 20s across the Triad, but that will actually feel warm compared to what we'll see overnight tonight. Here's why. You can see how clear this is, right? So the big bubble of high pressure located here, it's pushing all this precipitation and the cold front off the shore, but you look to the north, that's what Lauren was talking about. Blizzard conditions up through the upstate of New York and on Buffalo on western New York, they're dealing with quite a mess. Frigid air continues because it's with this high pressure located here, and as that moves down and becomes more centrally located over us, it keeps us cold. The overnight lows tonight, as we mentioned, single digits, so we're technically going for 8. This is one model that says we may go as low as 7 degrees tonight in Greensboro. But even when you look to the north, Martinsville at 5, Lexington 8, 7 in Salisbury. How about Galax with an actual overnight low of 1 below 0 and Boone at -3. Now you factor in wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour across the Triad, even higher expected in the higher elevations of the mountains, and it will feel more like about 5 to 7 degrees below normal for the Triad. If you look to the mountain communities, it's -20 for Galax and for Boone. Those are wind chill readings, not actual high temperatures, of course. So look for these overnight lows tonight around 8, and those wind chills will be sub-freezing. And then high temperatures tomorrow as we head into our holiday weekend. Chilled sunshine there, so a cold 27 but lots of sun. And on Christmas Day we look for high temperatures at 32 degrees.
Over 23,000 Duke Energy customers are without power in the Triad alone. Alamance County has the most outages with over 9,000. Guilford County has 4,600 outages, and Forsyth County has over 2,100 people without power. Those strong gusty winds are to blame, with trees and power lines knocked over. WFMY News 2's Hannah Jeffries was tracking damage across the Triad today and talked with Duke Energy about the efforts being done to get the power back on.
These cold and windy conditions are not only impacting power, but also drivers. This comes as Duke Energy says they're trying to restore that power ahead of the holidays. Earlier today, police were monitoring a roadway where a power line was snapped in half. Wires were the only thing holding the top part of the power pole off the ground on Battleground Avenue. Trees blocked some roadways and caused outside items like trash cans to fall over. Winds moved power lines and brought some cables to the ground. Jeff Brooks, the spokesperson for Duke Energy, says these extreme conditions make restoration times even slower.
When the winds are 30 miles an hour or more, we cannot safely put our buckets into the air to be able to do work, because if you can imagine high voltage power lines, those are moving. You know, we've got crews trying to work in those spaces. So we have to be very careful.
And Brooks says because these windy conditions are statewide, they didn't move people into our area so that they could handle the damage in their area. For now, local crews are working to restore our power.
Hannah, thank you for the update. If you are one of the thousands in the Triad without power right now, you may be turning to a generator to keep yourself warm. Here's a safety warning for you. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless gas that is poisonous to breathe. Operate all gasoline-powered devices such as gas-powered heaters outdoors and never bring them indoors. Also, be careful when using other alternative heating sources such as stoves or grills. One of the biggest issues, especially when the temperatures drop this low this fast, is frozen pipes. There are some things you can do to protect your home. WFMY News 2's Daniel Cruz shares advice from local experts if you wake up to a frozen pipe.
With the cold weather that they're calling for this weekend, there's going to be some frozen pipes.
The goal is to prevent that from happening to you. Your local hardware store should have everything that you'll need, and most of it should be pretty inexpensive. You'll want to disconnect your garden hose from the house, then add these inexpensive foam blocks to help insulate the spigot. Pipe insulation is another easy install, especially if your crawl space is drafty. Plumbers also recommend wrapping any pipe that is exposed to an exterior wall of your home. If you can't get to the hardware store, there are a few things that you can do right now. Going back to your home's crawl space, be sure to close those vents. The goal, just like inside your home, keep the cold air out. And lastly, open the cabinet doors. Let the heat circulate around those pipes. And don't forget, let the faucet drip. That slow trickle will do the trick. Managers at Ace Hardware in Greensboro say they typically see more people coming in to fix a problem rather than prevent it.
I'm going to say that that's probably a 40% I'm going to get ready, and then a 60%, something happened and now I got to fix it. It's never happened before. I've never had frozen pipes before.
Don't worry about trying to get them thawed out quickly. That sometimes can create additional problems.
David Murphy with John's Plumbing says if you do have a pipe freeze, be patient and don't break out the hairdryer or heat gun to thaw the ice. First, you'll want to shut off the main water supply to your home and open up the faucet. This will reduce the pressure and hopefully prevent a pipe from bursting.
They obviously will thaw out on their own, but in the event that you do need water or services like that, definitely you want to call a professional, definitely get out there, because you may think you have where it's frozen at, but there could be additional locations that are also frozen that you're not seeing.
Taking these proactive measures this weekend will be even more critical since stores like Ace Hardware will be closed for the Christmas holiday. Plumbers, they'll be available in an emergency situation if you need them, but you will pay more for a holiday service call. Reporting in Greensboro, Daniel Cruz, WFMY News 2.
While we're getting a blast of cold here, a massive storm is creating problems on the second busiest travel day around Christmas and New Year's. Thousands of flights have been canceled and hundreds of others have been delayed. The massive bomb cyclone is causing travel chaos nationwide as it whips across the Midwest into the Northeast.
We were supposed to leave at 2:40 and our flight was pushed back to 8:04, and now our flight has been delayed for an hour. I mean, we're hopeful, but in the back of both of our minds, we're like, I don't know if we're gonna make it out tonight.
We'll see how it goes. We were supposed to fly into Houston. We're flying at midnight from here to Chicago, and then we have a 1 hour layover, and then we'll land in New Orleans tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Even after the snow and rain stop, the extreme cold slows down airport operations. So experts say to expect cancellations and delays to stretch into the weekend. Right here in Greensboro, 2 flights out of PTI have been canceled and 3 flights have been delayed. 12 flights have also been diverted through PTI today. If you have a road trip planned for the weekend, follow the 3 P's of cold weather driving. First, prepare your vehicle. This means check your levels and tire pressure, battery and gas. Next, plan your route. This will help avoid traffic and any closures on roads or bridges. And lastly, protect against crashes. During severe weather, give yourself increased distance between you and the car in front of you and lower your speed. If you're taking a road trip in your electric vehicle, you're probably planned out your charging stops, but did you account for the cold weather? One viewer asked our Verified team if the cold impacts electric vehicle range, and Casey Decker reached out to 2 academic researchers who specialize in electric vehicles, as well as got information from AAA and Consumer Reports to find out.
Consumer Reports released a study where they ran numerous EVs in different seasons, controlling for all variables but temperature. The study found that at 16 degrees Fahrenheit, the cars on average could only go about 3/4 of the distance they could travel at 65 degrees. A similar study by AAA a few years ago showed similar results. The cars back then actually performed even worse in cold weather. So we can verify, yes, electric vehicles lose range in cold weather. So why is that? The biggest reason is simply the need to keep the driver comfortable. Gas-powered cars generate heat by burning fuel, and that heat can just be pumped into the cabin. But EVs need to generate heat independently, meaning the battery now has 2 jobs in cold weather, propelling the car and heating the cabin.
Electric cars are way more efficient. Most of the energy is being used to move the car, and there's not so much excess heat that is being created. A little bit, but not much. So when we need to heat the cabin where we sit, we actually need to use more energy, and that lower the range of the car.
The good news, the loss of range shouldn't affect most drivers. On longer trips, you will need to recharge more often in cold weather, but for a daily commute, it shouldn't make much of a difference. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
As we head into the holiday weekend, remember you can track the latest forecast with the most accurate weather team in the Triad. It's all in the WFMY News 2 app. It's free in the Apple Store and Google Play. If you got some holiday shopping done on Amazon this year, make sure you pay extra attention not to fall for a scam going around. Hear one mother's warning next. It's the most wonderful time of the year for thieves to target your identity and your wallet. Last holiday season, nearly 75% of Americans were targeted by scams. This year, a single mother of 3 is among the victims. Malini Bashu shares her story.